Hi, everybody. I'm James, and welcome back to Storytime with James. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave me a comment if you like. All right, this one is called Hopeless. Okay, look, I was a hopeless young man. This was back in the 80s and stuff like that. I was a hopeless young man. I would drive from Harvey, Illinois to Chicago every other day, okay? Just to go see my daughter, who was born. She was just a little infant then, you know. So I would go to Chicago, and I was trying to find an apartment in Harvey, Illinois, but I must admit it was very hard. It was very hard, especially it was very hard because I didn't have any income. I didn't have any income outside of temporary jobs. I was at the brink of being homeless. I was, you know. So, but I had a car. I had a car. I had a '69 Chevy Nova that I was able to get around in. So I don't know. So, but I was able to secure a job at a place that worked with fiberglass. So they put the fiberglass inside of truck doors and stuff like that. I was able to secure a job doing that. And the fiberglass would blow all over me. And with you sweating and stuff like that, your pores are open. And the fiberglass would get inside your pores, and your face felt like sandpaper and everything. And when you get home, I had to take like 3 showers, hot showers, hot as I could stand it. So I can sweat that fiberglass out my pores. Well, I hung in there as long as I could. I hung in there as long as I could. It was terrible. So I had to quit. Living in crowded living arrangements, that was terrible too. It was terrible. But I needed a roof over my head. I needed a roof over my head. So I dealt with it. I dealt with it. Look, then they started complaining about how crowded it was in there and stuff like that. So I've got a lot of pride for myself. So I left and just stabbed out and drove back to the city. Just drove back to the city and tried to deal with what was going on. So I went over to my ex's house to see my daughter. Well, it wasn't her house, it was her grandparents' house. So I went to see my daughter, and I stayed there until like 9 p.m., 9 o'clock p.m. So, and then I just said, hey, I'm finna head home. Not, I didn't say that I didn't have a home anymore. That was my first day. So when I was leaving out, I left out and I had $4 in my pocket, $4. And so just drove. I drove to the Zanzibar Motel. Zanzibar Motel. I don't know if y'all know that, but it's just a little rinky-dinky motel or something like that. I drove there and I parked in a parking lot, and I figured I would try to get some sleep there. But look, it was below zero. This is in Chicago now. It was below zero. Y'all know how the temperatures get there. It was below zero. So, man, I was like, I didn't last an hour. I didn't last an hour because I had to keep starting the car, keep starting the car, keep starting the car. Then my gas was on empty, on E, on Ernestine. Okay. Yes. So I had the $4. So I went to excuse me, y'all. I got to eat some egg. Gotta eat breakfast. Okay. I was on Ernestine, all right? I drove to a gas station and I put $2 in the tank. I know y'all saying $2 ain't gonna do nothing. This was in the 80s, okay? So gas wasn't that much, okay? It's like maybe a dollar a gallon or something like that. Maybe 75 cents a gallon. But you can find some gas. That's when they had regular gas. It wasn't regular unleaded. It was regular. So you can pretty much survive off of. So I put $2 in the tank. Then I drove, and I just drove around. Because if I cut the car off, I would freeze to death. I would be dead. I wouldn't have made it. So man, it was terrible. So I was driving. So I said, man, I might as well get closer to Harvey, where my family was. I had family out in Harvey, but it it was bad. It was terrible. So I came back. And it's late at night now. It was like about 12 or 1 o'clock. So I drove back and to Harvey, and I couldn't find a place to park and try to sleep or something like that. So I was driving around, driving around. Then I started to go back to Chicago, but I didn't have enough gas for that. So I just waited it out. Kept starting the car, warming it up, hunkering down, trying to sleep. Then start the car up again, warming up. But y'all don't know how those Novas were. They were paper thin, paper thin. It was like tin or something like that. They was made out of the shell of the car was made out of tin or something like that. But wind went straight through that. Went straight through there. So finally morning came. Like it was like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't have cell phone then. It was no cell phones. Nobody readily had cell phones. They had those big brick phone, those big brick phones. But that was it. And I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't have one. So I made it until in the morning, and then in the morning I went to a payphone, which you don't see anymore of. But I went to a payphone and I called my mother. I said, "Hey," she said, "Hey, where you been? Where you been?" I said, "Oh, I'm okay. I stayed in the city. I stayed in the city last night. Lying. So she won't be worried or something like that." So she said, "Oh, well, where you been, man? I've been trying to call you because I've been trying to get in touch with you because they called about an apartment that I had checked out an apartment, and I guess they approved me of it." Without a job. Without a job. This is crazy. So it was in Harvey too. So I went to get this apartment, and I got in there, and it was tore up. It was tore up. The apartment was tore up. But I told him, I said, "Look, I will fix the apartment if you let me move in, okay?" And he said, "Oh, really? Okay." He was like a slumlord. Like he said, "Oh, really? Okay." He said, "You fix it. I'm gonna give you a couple of weeks to fix it, and then if it's up to par, you can have it, okay?" So I set out and started painting in there and everything like that, and I got it painted and everything, and then he wrote me out a lease, a year's lease. So I was able to secure an apartment. I was so happy. I You just don't know how elated I was inside. I was happy, super happy to have an apartment. And then I got the gas on and everything. Then I really had to find a job because I was looking for jobs and stuff like that, but to no avail. I'm searching for jobs. And then my cousin came to me and said, "Look, man, are you tired of looking for jobs?" I said, "Yeah, yes, I am. I am." He said, "Look, man, go down here and take this test. this is when uh this is when I started in the security field. He said security has always have jobs available, and they will hire you as long as you pass this test and get certified. You will can be working right now. You could have been working like so. I went down there. It took me two or 3 days to take the test. So because we was going through training and getting sprayed with mace and stuff like that. Fighting with sticks and stuff like that. So it was. See, that's when it was the security training center. It was better then. The training was better then. Now the security training is just like just write something and then you pass the test. But you had to go through full training back then. So after I passed the test, and immediately, this is crazy. Immediately after I passed the test, they set me out on a job. They sent me on a job. So I had a job then. So everything was gravy. It was all good. So then after that, we had got that. I got that apartment. We lived in there for like maybe 2 years. I think maybe two or 3 years or something like that. Then we branched off into another apartment. So it was good. It was good. Well, it wasn't good at first, but it was a trying time, and I made it through. So mm, I was able to make it through, and it was a bad time. Sometimes I think about that specific day when I almost became homeless. Well, I was homeless for a day. I was homeless, because I didn't have nowhere to stay. But that grips me till this day. And every time I get in a situation where I'm going to be, probably potentially be homeless, I think back to that day and how determined I was to make things better. You know. So, well, that's it, y'all. I'm going to finish these eggs off. I have to make some scrambled eggs. So, all right, you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave me a comment if you like. And hit that bell notification. Hit that bell notification so that you know every time I drop another video. And share, share, share. Share my videos with your family. Share them with your friends. Share them with your loved ones. And even share them with your enemies. Adios. Salamat.
Oh my god.